Hello, and welcome back to Managing People. Today, we are focusing on three closely connected ideas: leadership, employee voice, and culture, organizational culture. Why these three are together? Because leadership sets the tone for how organizations operate, and leadership shape the culture. The culture is we mainly consider like shared norms, values, and behaviors that guide how employees act or they perceive should be act or behave in the organization. And that culture either define or enables, sometimes restrict employee voice. So obviously this is not simple subject, it is multi-layer, and that subject is not only in one silo, it is interrelated with other factors as well. But so we try to make as much as good as possible, simple as possible. And which refers employees might feel able to speak up sometimes and offer feedback. Maybe they participate in decision making. So throughout this session, we will explore not only what these terms mean in theory, but how they show up in real world case studies, which we prove these theories with this case studies. So throughout this session, we will go that way, and yeah. Then next slide is about employee engagement. Okay, if I would be able to move, okay, yeah, it's going now. Let's begin by refreshing our understanding. Employee engagement, we have seen that one in week 2, and on the top of employee engagement, we consider that employee voice is mainly employee involvement and employee participation. So employee voice is about more than just giving feedback or attending meetings. It is a process of kind of actively contributing organizational decisions or decision-making processes. How it would work. So maybe they can feel their ideas are valued, their concerns are included, their feedbacks are taken in account. So these are the ways could be happen. Formal channels as well as informal channels, these communication elements are coming. So I don't need to mention formal channels like staff meetings, union representations, maybe some suggestion like schemes or plans they can involve in. Informal channels are conversation with line managers, anonymous feedbacks, maybe social media posts. So we will take this further by asking what enable voice to be heard and acted upon. What role do leaders play in creating safe space for voice? And how does the culture of organization either encourage or suppress that voices? Obviously, before going that much deep, we need to check a lot of theories on this. Okay. So next slide is employee voice. It is a kind of variety of mechanism and processes which enable and empower workers to contribute decision making. So in that way, employees the employees have chance to express their views, opinions, maybe suggestions. And they simply influence the matters. What is the matter in the organization is they can affect. So as well as they have been included, they can join into the decision making. So in other words, voice is not just about talking, it's about being heard or having influence on organization. So you can also see that so Boxall and Purcell is saying that a mechanism and process which enable and empower workers here. Slide. One of the example in the Toyota, as you can see, Anden code. This is a Japanese term on Anden code. Any factory workers can pull the Anden cord and stop the production line if they spot a problem. This is a really brilliant example of employee voice in action, and not just encourage, but it is inside the workflow. So it is really clear how Toyota value the employees' contribution. Simple example. So this is like employees always keep in mind that because they're afraid to put their voices, and sometimes do they keep silence, and we are going to mention that one later on a little bit as well. Even you can choose this philosophy, this research, a really good research puzzle, organizational silence, why employees are shut in and they don't speak. So this is kind of employees are afraid to pull the cord to stop the production line. Okay, so they are literally causing some interruption in the work. But it is helpful because they find the problem on spot and they are really helpful this one. So that fault should be straight ahead solved, and it's going to reduce the quality problems in the future, because that small problem could cause a big problems in the future. So let's consider the flip side of voice when the employees choose to be silent instead. Why do employees sometimes choose not to speak? Probably you might have some from your experience. You did, or you felt, or you behave silence in your workplace sometimes. Maybe you can create a connection. It would be really helpful to understand if you bring down these theories and these sayings into your professional experience. It's really helpful, and you can always remember quicker, and you can learn quicker, because if you reflect in your experience as well. One major reason is the absence of psychological safety. Amy Edmonds, one of the psychology person, employees feel safe to take interpersonal risk, like admitting mistakes or disagreeing with simply their managers. These are creating fear, and it's going to create like humiliation or punishment. So when psychological safety is low, mistakes or near missings are going unreported, and obviously innovation will be stopped or really go slow. And we sometimes say, this kind of environment is creating toxic culture, and something wrong, no one say, and we can You can see some TED video, short TED videos exploring these as well. But think about workplace you have experienced, part-time jobs, and or maybe placement here, or even group work at university. When did you feel comfortable speaking up? When did you hold back? So this is important to your own reflection to connect and understand this subject very closely. And we know that is a recent study from Google. Google found that psychological safety was the #1 predictor of team success across all its team. Okay, a little bit more detail on the next slide you will see now. These images are shown a group trying to communicate, but something is clearly going wrong. So Royal Mail managers vote to strike over restructure. BT workers vote for strike. They haven't been heard. Their problems wasn't responded. And British Airways similar. And we've seen some of the engaging frontline employers urge to communicate better. So these are examples. It reminds us that Shannon-Weaver communication model. This is really a really simple communication model. I'm not sure whether I can bring that model picture here. Just let me find that one. So it is really nice to have this record at home, so I can do Google and I can reflect quickly. Okay, Shannon. Okay, here we go. Yeah. This is really simple, like information source. This is designed. That model is designed, and we always speak on this one. Okay, I hope it's gonna work here. Yeah, I think you will see. Maybe I should go. Okay, yeah, I don't think so. You will be able to see. Information source, message, and it's coming to transmitters, which is signal is going through in the transmitter. And on the other hand, receiver is getting that signal and destination. However, if there is a noise between these transmission, it's going to disrupt. Later on, this is used for the telephone lines communication model, but it is expanded later on more. For example, if you pressure on these groups, they are not gonna say their demands or their needs or something wrong. So what they are gonna do, they are gonna keep silence. Okay. So therefore, listening really important in the communication, and sometimes it is disrupted with some cynical minds. For example, Welsh Fargo, a major United States bank, is, I think, 70 million customers they have. I did search this one earlier. Many employees they wanted to reach their sales target, but however, what they did, they created a fake customer account. So this is a cynical way, but the way other employees have seen this problem, but they didn't pick up about this unethical behavior. So it was organizational silence, you see. Those who did were ignored or penalized, punished. Even, sometimes if they speak, they have been ignored or punished or penalized. So the result created a huge scandal, and they created it, they try to make top organization targets. They want to show off. they created a fake customer account to reach those targets. So a huge scandal is billions in fines and serious damage to trust of this organization happen. So in that sense, leadership fail to listen. They interrupt. They create a noise in their receiver. Okay, therefore they have done this one. Okay. And I think next slide is going to be, I hope it is clear. Organizational silence is a phenomena. There are layer by layer different reasons, and we have example organizations or employees kept silent and they didn't say wrong points around them. But in the detail of the communication, if we go deep inside, access to information is relevant at all different levels, and so this is like communication in organizations happens at many levels. So individual level, management level, senior management level. So they have different level of the communication in the organizations because of the organizational structure. And individual level, for example, staff appraisals, maybe coaching sessions, team meetings happen. And team level, you can say department updates, shared goals, maybe performance reviews as a team. So organizational level is strategic. The elements are explained to people. CEO publish some messages or some new trends or some extra things they can put. So this is organizational level are kind of like culture building efforts are we can see. So which is responded with the organizational culture as well. So on the other hand, stakeholder level. So maybe unions. I'm keep saying unions, but it is not that much popular as old days. But the communication could be with unions, maybe shareholders, company owners, maybe regulatory bodies, maybe to the public relation and with public, maybe suppliers. So each level require different styles and purposes of communication. For example, a manager giving feedback needs emotional intelligence, isn't it? So if you are addressing the public concerns, or public speech, it should be really clear and really understandable for everyone. So in that sense, in which situation do you think communication most often breaks down, interrupted? As earlier I mentioned the previous slide, it is Wells Fargo, one of the major United States bank. So they stop speaking and they close their eyes for unethical behavior at organization. So this is like communication most oftenly breaking down, and why? So this is my question to you, and you can reflect your own way. I'm happy to hear your comments on the thread under the chat thread here, or maybe you can put in the classroom. So how much information should employees have is another thing, because too many information is creating fatigue and it's really difficult to manage by one person. So in that sense, yeah, communication is good, sharing information good, but is it helpful? Is it so? This is really the counter argument exists for this one. So this is not easy question to answer. This is question with not easy answer. So on the one hand, we say we want transparent, open organizations, but on the other hand, not all information can be shared or should be shared. Okay, let's think about what kind of information we are talking about. Maybe operational updates, maybe financial, maybe salaries, company strategies, yeah, and restructuring plans. So these are things. For example, we have Netflix. They say radical transparency. They share nearly all business information internally, even board meeting notes. But this assumes employees are mature and responsible with the information. It means they can leak the information outside and can handle difficult truths by, if it is not in their favor. So we know more hierarchical organizations where information is shared with on a need to know basis. So there is a kind of balance. Do you think do you think more information empower employees or confuse them? This is the question. Okay. Okay, and also we have some knowledge about information, and information has disseminating in organization, but it is creating asymmetrically what the spreading, because some people soak in information quicker, others are slower, and yeah, this is individual characteristics are creating this kind of things as well. Okay, so I think I can jump to the next slide here. I can. Okay. I think. So these are the questions. Let's get your thoughts by scanning. I decided to put this Mentimeter code to get your opinion as well. So questions are here. How many emails are you sent in a day? Have you been received? Okay. How many emails do you actually read in a day? How many emails do you actually remember from a day? What do you remember best? An email, phone call, or face-to-face meeting? So these are really good research questions, it seems for me. And this is giving the idea how you perceive, how you experience this. I think these slides didn't like. Okay. So these are the questions you can answer in the Mentimeter. Yeah. And next slide is barriers to employee involvement. I think I jump about involvement at the top here. At the first. Okay, so I can go there. This is slide 2. Slide 2. Here we go. Employee involvement is the increase of information given to employee and to enhance their organizational commitment. Yeah, this is a really good speech, but this is some disadvantages, you see. Yeah. Then we can go back to our next one. Back to employee involvement barriers. So one of the research Mullins 2005, he mentioned moral involvement and calculative involvement and alienative involvement. So these are according to the Mullins, these 3 different type is moral involvement. Employees identify with organization goals. They are intrinsically motivated, so they are attached emotionally. Calculative involvement, employees participate because they see personal benefit. So this is kind of extrinsic motivation. You can say bonuses, maybe promotion, maybe job security. Alienative involvement is employee feels forced to comply. They participate out of fear or obligation, not the choice. So this is theory, and in real life example, we've seen that Amazon warehouses, some employees follow strict performance not because they agree with them, but because they don't want to get involved with disciplinary actions. This would be a lineative or example. So it's really important if you want to come to point in your assessment or in your writing about coming to this kind of involvement. You need to reflect what kind of involvement is there, and so. Right. Okay. I think we have next slide. I can jump. Organizational culture become a hot topic. Is started after with liberalism, neoliberalism, especially after the publication in Search Excellence. Peter's here is you can see the Purcell text book and Terence Kennedy's book as well. They argue that successful companies have strong or distinctive culture. This idea is kind of like underlying the main shift in neoliberalism, because in unions are dismissed and the organizational culture is one of the aspect. Leaders can see, can hear organization, how the employees are voices, involvement, kind of. So from structure and process to people and values, because you see, organizational culture is about norms, values. So people and so this is like culture was increasingly seen as a source of competitive advantage as well. Something hard to copy is really distinctive cultures reflecting under the underlying the distinctive culture, because one organization, how people think, behave, and interact could be different at another organization, even though they work in the same sector. So Zappos, an online shoe retailer, is famous for its customer service culture. New hires are trained, newcomers are trained in the company. They have been learned about company values, the company norms, even offered money to quit after training if they feel this culture is not fitting in their personality. This is showing how serious Zapp was taking care of the organizational fit. So culture is not just the way we do things; it shapes what is seen as acceptable or risky or worth to say or worth to involve. So therefore, it is really important, and that includes how voice is treated in the Zappos as well. Um, so so they don't want to. They want some kind of uniform customer service in a sense. So this is another organizational pro-dominant researcher. He used to work in IBM, and he reached different culture, different offices. He was able to reach, and he did a big research. So you can when you're writing your case study or reflective report, citing from core text books like Shan, like previous slide. These are really important authors, okay? It's important to see them in your writing. This is corporate culture, ritual and rites and rituals. Yes, now I think we can go to next slide. How do you become part of an organizational culture? This comes down to the socialization. So socialization is because we are human and we love socialization. So newcomers observe the language, history, organizational values, how people behaves in the organization. They learn. Here. In the organization when they start at first minute. And Socialist and Swidler is here. His less assumed tech part of this comes down to learning through practice. This is part of learning through practice. Is hands-in learning. Okay, culture provides a toolkit of sources, resources, and ideas through which we decide how to act. So this means employees don't just follow rules; they carry with them a set of habits. Maybe they embrace that values or symbols in their embodiment. Okay, so that guides how they respond to challenges, how they respond, how they act. How do new employees learn is start that point, but obviously this is the one aspect, because throughout the time, leaders or CEOs or managers want to change culture because that culture is not responding to market needs. So employees needs to be aware that culture could change in the future as well. So literally, organizational culture, it cannot be written in a policy manual or staff handbook. They can observe through daily interactions on onboarding or an induction. It is really difficult to change as well. We have an example from Starbucks. Every new hire receive a green apron book, which includes company values and service principles, even phrases to use with customers. So this is cultural toolkit. It is supplied by Starbucks. Key point is culture could be learned through the socialization. Even though Starbucks use a text like booklet, the tools, whatever they learn, is about organizational language, and yeah, this is creating employees' behavior in organization. Therefore, organizational culture is really important. As you can see from Zappos and Starbucks, they value really important. They value that one, and they are investing money for these things. Okay. Strategies of socialization. If it is socialization is a tool to learn organizational culture, and culture is if it is important, then we need to learn more about socialization. Therefore, this is part of this slide. I think this one is Van Manen. Yeah, Van Manen in 1976. He outlines 6 strategies that organizations use, often unconsciously, to socialize new employees. So these strategies help shape not only behavior, but identity and expectations. Let's talk these 6 of them. Collective versus individual, formal versus informal, sequential versus random. So all of them, so 6 different elements in one man, and so I just want to leave them to you to search. But we know that some organizations, these are the audit firms, and they are really good organizations, Deloitte, PwC, EY, KPMG. They often use collective, formal, sequential, and serial approach. So what they do? Okay, let me say that one. If they do collective versus individual one, they are taking group onboarding versus personal one-to-one experiences. They put group onboarding approach. So sequential versus random is about clear career strategies or stages versus unclear, unexpected progression level or progression steps. So literally these four audit firms often use collective, sequential approaches in their organizational culture way, and so yeah, this is the mentality about formal, informal, sequential versus random, fixed versus variable, serial versus disjunction. And so disjunction is you are leaving everything to employee. They are figuring out alone. Serial means they are putting in mentorship. They are learning from them. Which one of these socialization strategies have you experienced in your part-time job or placement, or in 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 social groups, in social societies, maybe I should say? Yeah, this is the my question could be for you. You can start to think. Yeah, did you have a mentorship? Did you have a kind of set timelines? Okay, so what is an organizational culture? Is okay. Starting point is here. Is shines a three level of organization. I think this title should be a little bit different. What level of organizational culture can be explained? At the top, as you can see, surface manifestation. So we can see on day-to-day basis, and it is apparent in the organizational tool, and you can see maybe even written organizational interaction as socialization. Employees, when the employees socialize together, we can see the surface manifestations. So it's really easy to see. So when you come to values, things we talk about when making judgment, so it is not visible, but you can imply that one is coming from that kind of judgment. It is not like subjective, but it is because of our culture that way. So yeah, this is kind of estimation. Even in many cases, employees are estimating the managers or leaders' decision at some circumstances because they know their approach, they know what values they have. So this is like estimation. Maybe they are aware, they know what they are going to decide. Okay, for particular or some certain decision making processes. So basic assumption, the things we take for granted. So this is like coming automatically, and it is not visible. Is this kind of unconscious beliefs that actually what is driving our behavior. These are often invisible and mainly is taken for granted. Yeah. Example is maybe I can say at Google is because the surface face open plan offices, because this is their approach. Maybe casual clothes, casual dressing, an office. And values could be their saying is innovation, openness. Okay, these are their values. And the basic assumption are they assume employees are intrinsically motivated. They don't need external motivation, even though they're offering external motivational tool, but they accept apparently that way. Okay, and they believe the autonomy. And these are the basic assumptions. I'm not sure whether you can you have this kind of approach. Yeah, some of them is seen. If you decided to come to organizational culture needs to change in your assignment, you need to distinct things. Okay, what is going to change, and what is organizational? So you need to bring proof. Maybe basic assumptions should be changed. Maybe artifact. And obviously the previous slide, like as I said earlier, this is the one. What kind of strategy you are going to use to improve, because at the end, after diagnosing the problem, you need to improve that organizational culture, because you find that one is problem. Okay, so these two slides are really critical for organizational structure. So we've seen some of the culture really not many. In many cases, strong culture is a good culture, or you can maybe say that most employees maybe not sharing the same culture or assumptions, visible surface manifestation, values, basic assumption. So when I say culture is, so as you can, I hope you are you grasp that idea. Culture has got different layers and different elements inside. So so this is the question actually: are strong cultures always a good thing, or are they an opportunity? Or yeah. So this is the question. Could be taught. I mean, you should think from your own experience. One of the case study, it is because these are coming from Apple, and I think I did some homework and I brought that one. So these are the pictures are coming from another case studies, but I studied that one. That's why I indicate that one. Uber toxic culture risk is driverless feature too. So this is 2010 to 2017. Travis Kalanick had a very strong performance and driven culture they have, and they focus on performance, and they didn't give away from their own culture, but it tolerates their culture tolerated sexism, rule breaking. If you can win, you can break the rules, aggressive competition. So regardless the dignity or respecting each other. So eventually, culture led to scandal, lawsuit of the CEO's removal. In this culture, which supposedly corrected now, however, it was a threat. It was seen at the time a threat because this culture affected their public face. What they did, they fired one of the employee coming from Google, and Google has got a project in Google, driverless car as well, Anthony Lewandowski. Apparently, he brought some knowledge belonged to Google with him to Uber. Then they went to court, and Anthony didn't want to admit he brought that knowledge with him, and he didn't say Uber didn't have fault. Obviously, he needed to protect himself, but at the end, the Uber fired him, and that one is raised the issue, and it is becoming like a bigger problem. So it was showing that they didn't respect the employees' job security. In a sense, they sack and that Anthony, and so this is their problem. It was their problem. I think takeaway for the organizational culture could be it should be a strength of the organization. Culture is a strength, but you need to think about, is it healthy, inclusive, or as well as, because it shouldn't be static. It should be adaptable for the changes. So this is the part of another thing for me. And thus culture depends on organizational structure. This is another slide, is Charles Handy. He suggested that cultures differ on two dimensions: how formal or informal the rules are, how much power is centralized to a few people or shared. So this is he presumably put this one as a distinctive how the organizational culture is working, or and he used the analogy of ancient mythological Greek gods in his theory. It's really a bit fun, that one. So 4 types of organization. One of them is the power of club culture, which is represented by Zeus. and not many formal rules are exist and centralized leader power. It means you can as much as you convince the leader, you can change anything you want. Okay. So then task culture is Athena. This is project based. Lots of formal rules are exist in this culture. Power is shared and delegated. So bureaucracy with Apollo, it is coming with rules and under the central power source. So sharing power is the key theme here, because leading or creating culture is about leadership. And leaders, how they approach is creating a culture at some point, and it is what they behave is manifest in all organization, and organization follow that one. And as you can see, bureaucracy, power center, and shared power shared with Athena. This is a project-based approach. And existential culture is really, the today's way of working, I believe. Not formal rules, and power is shared, and people learn together, like rhetorically. Okay, so this is coming for that point. And so now we are jumping to next element, because we've gone through employee voice up to the culture. Now we come to culture, and you need to bring some leadership involvement. And if you want to bring some change, offer intervention or correction in the organizational culture in your case study, you need to always you have to bring leadership. This is the must. You need to understand what kind of culture, layer by layer, but you need to also mention about leadership, what they need to do. So before that one, I think you need to understand what is leadership a little bit more, and we have some textbooks as well. This is a great paper. Finding it by library through online. You can watch that one. This is like over 6,000 leadership works collected from Web of Science, and for certain time, and they review that research papers. So we have been talking about voice and culture. Now we turn to the leadership. I just want to repeat again. And here's the key link. When organizations want to change culture, whether to become more inclusive, more sustainable, more innovative, they need leadership driven, because it's not easy to cope for everything. But it could be done without leadership at some organization, but mainly in classical mentality, it is difficult. So leadership is the force that unfreezes the system, challenges maybe assumption in the people's mind, resistance. They can freeze. Okay, then they can support the employees to change and collaborate for those changes, for that adaptability. In the next slides, you will see different leadership models, which is you can find more than these. So theories are on leadership is a lot, millions of different theories exist. So these are some of the advice to read and learn. Maybe you can choose a strategic way. Also, you can use some academic journals, quarterly journals. These are useful for your coursework and critical thinking studies on transformational leadership, servant leadership, power dynamics, and organizational trust. You can check. This is the part of leadership alignment. Okay, I think we can start the definition with leadership. This is one of the millennial researcher. Leadership is the process of influencing others to understand and agree about what needs to be done and how to do it. So I think I can say leadership is about unfreezing and moving and refreezing things back. Okay, simply you can say that way as well. So, but this is really one of the popular authors. Let's say. From my notes, I can see at Unilever, Paul Polman didn't just set the sustainable goals in his realm. He worked to align employees and stakeholders behind these goals, influencing beliefs and creating systems that made action possible. So setting sustainable goals is good, but you need to think how you are going to change, how you are going to bring people on board is important because we are looking employees in our perspective, but Coleman, he included stakeholders as well. In that somehow it was his part of leadership model. Yeah, so this kind of like you are going to build your own leadership things, but you need to understand comprehensively a little bit more. In the future, when you are become leader or manager somewhere, you are going to bring your way. In somehow, if you decided to change organizational culture, if you want to bring more voice, involvement, maybe you need to put some organizational cultural change, and that change needs to be led. And so John Cutter is putting this kind of stages for these changes. So I think Microsoft, from my readings, I remember Microsoft used the Kotter principle when shifting the company towards a cloud-first culture. He created urgency. He called innovate or die. Assembly. So this is like it is given supported by cross-functional teams and shifted the focus toward collaboration and growth mindset. So this is a kind of steps you can offer to change, bring the change. How we talk about leaders is another slide is coming from Simon Weston. One of them is controller. Controller means focus on discipline, rules, and measurement. Maybe you can call scientific management. This is the Henry Ford assembly line model. Therapist, a human therapist for relation and motivation. It is looking after leaders' care for people's well-being, job satisfaction, and it was 1950s and 70s were there, apparently, according to the book. And transformational leadership is an icon for having vision. I name it the transformational leadership because it is responding visionary. Vision is responding with transformational. So it is helping me to move to transformational leadership later on as well. I'm just exploiting his textbook. Beston, sorry for that one. And so often we see that leaders are visionary and they are mainly hero. And so Steve Jobs, some people can see Elon Musk is transformational leaders as well. And eco leaders are coming because of new sustainable and environmental concerns raised. Leadership is distributed ethical points, concern with long-term impact, encourages collaboration, responsibility, maybe system thinking, because they need to bring system thinking. System thinking is just like something, a system. If you say system thinking, it means it is it is surviving itself, okay, without any need to outside, okay. Therefore, system thinking is, maybe it is not 100% system we can create, but as possible as 100% is good. So some of the example from I think from my example for Patagonia, yeah, we can give example. Yeah, so this is all my saying about Western. And what about before 1900? I think we don't need to mention, but knowledge and wisdom about leading come from stories and myths about personality and power before. And great man theories exist. Leaders are born, not made. Pre 900. After this term, researcher or academics or people or practitioners focus on traits, think of military and factory systems. They start to think some traits could be improved as well. So in mid like 1950, human relations are exist and growth. Remember, I mentioned about light experiment, yeah, and motivation theories. So after near to 1990s, 1980s, charismatic and transformational leaders become popular, and over after millennial is come like sustainability, ethical leadership, eco leader model is come on board. So from this perspective, personality and power, because power is poisoning the personality. It means people has got power, too much power. They start to make some unethical things. So it sounds, in a sense, we seen that one is 2008 economic crisis, and this is a big problem. So, but we need to consider the personality, and maybe I should say traits. Traits are important, and traits we know that traits can be learned, and therefore this subject is coming from. So Kirkpatrick and Locke, it's 1991. They mention the people likes from leaders, people like from leader, drive to succeed, motivation to lead others, integrity, confidence. So these are the all things are anyone can have, learn or show. So these are the leaders features or leaders attributes, I can say. Drive, leadership, motivation, integrity, it means honesty and consistency. Self-confidence, believe in himself. So these people not self-restricting, they are confident and they believe themselves, their own abilities. Cognitive abilities, intelligence and analytical skills they have. From the Microsoft, Satya Nadella shows many of these traits. We don't know that she didn't have before, but she showed that integrity, cognitive ability, drive, leadership motivation. She has got, and yeah. Also, one more thing is he was a collaborative and an emotional intelligence person. So in that sense, we have example from sector, from case studies related with this one. And traits may be important, but not enough on themselves. Therefore, they need to armed with other things as well. what is the trait-based leadership has got limitation, because if you say, you know, the traits, if you improve some kind of traits and you can be leader, it could be wrong, because you need to bring always some argument into your so if you go with only trait theories, those trait theories are ignoring the context. So this is the main bit. Someone with great traits might still fail in the wrong environment, means, okay. Fixing abilities with trait theories doesn't work, because we know that we may need more different diverse abilities, and that abilities are keep changing. Yeah, this is the rule. And trait theories are also don't explain how trait translate into the action. So this is really important point, because traits are creating the actions, but so we are so delicate on how other people is going to react. So therefore, we are sometimes not act required, which is required certain traits. So we hide it away. So this is coming from that one. So actions are not translate the exact traits actually at some point. So risk is emphasizing personality traits can lead a bias. For example, favoring confident speakers over thoughtfully listeners. So this is one of the strengths, because you can find some biases in your decision. So in modern view, leadership is better seen as a combination of personal traits, learned behaviors, environmental concern and environmental fit, and managing the organizational culture. So these are the what we learn from case studies. Okay. So this is the slide. I think I didn't come to that point. Drive to succeed, motivation and lead. So these are the points I just mentioned. Last slide, please. I think we are over 1 hour, and I am just in the middle of the slides. So power types, that because if the leadership is about powering, power over people, so people are obeying, and in order to understand leadership, we need to understand power as well, because personality is one side, other side is power. How you because leadership is a core about influencing others. French Raven, 1959, identifies 6 sources of power that leaders can draw upon. Legitimate power, which is formal position or title, because you are CEO and everyone need to, you automatically have a power. Reward power is ability to offer incentives, because some people has got resource and they can reward certain action, they can power over others. Coercive power is punishing or enforcement, which is not acceptable, but yeah, this is in the classification. Expert power is power of knowledge and expertise. I think this is really clear, because we live in a world is knowledge is a power, okay. And referent power is about influence due to the admiration or identification about being some kind of cult or some kind of group, okay. So this is referent power. So informational power is control over access to relevant information, not because or you are expertise, because you are holding that one. You are not aware that information has got that things. So this is like we have we can see that Uber Eats, for example, because they have power of control customer orders and they distribute to so they have power and they get incentive from each takeaways. So this is informational power. Maybe you can extend, maybe we can update this model a little bit more. for today's circumstances. But we can see some of them is sustainable, some of them can harm the trust. So they are not like we can sustain all the time. So imagine a new land manager or new manager may have a legitimate power because they are manager, but they often earn referent power or expertise power over time because they are new and people don't know their knowledge. So how people learn those power by seeing and observing that leaders or that managers' behavior and competence. So just the next slides, and these slides are coming in more detail. I'm happy you can read. You can see pictures. Okay, I don't want to read because we have already run 1 hour 10 minutes. It seems there are two problems we have when we judge purely by personality and power. Okay, leaders has got power, and if they meant to have a trait, which is we expect more than traits. But in the main theory, main core theory says power and trait is important. Okay, and power has got different types as well. After seeing that 6 type of power, which power bases are most visible in your placement, in your work placement or part-time job? So maybe in the organization you are analyzing for assignment, so you need to bring those things because if you involve with leadership, you can bring the evidence. So if possible, I would like to see some, if they are used as ethically, people using informal power, for example, more effectively than formal authority. So maybe you can bring those things. So assignment team, if you are analyzing a leadership or intervention, trying to identify which power bases they use, were they mostly coercive or other way around? Did they rely on personal credibility? So these are the points. So this is one of the new tip coming from power and personality and behavior. One of the most influential modern concepts is emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence means self-awareness as well as social self-management, social awareness, relationship management. Why does it matter? Leaders high emotional intelligence are more likely to build a trust. Therefore, it is really advantage for them. And in a sense, they are really able to resolve the conflict and inspire and retain the teams together. So according to Goleman's postulation. We know Jacinda Ardern, former Prime Minister of New Zealand, showed high EI in crisis of communication, offering both strength and compassion during the Christchurch attacks on COVID-19. So this is the really good example. And the thing is, my question, can you learn emotional intelligence? So this is really important. If you have to compare emotional intelligence with intellectual intelligence, is a little bit like slightly different because intelligence is helping to analyze, solve the problems, make the decision quicker or effectively. Emotional intelligence are reading the people mind, building relationship, staying calm under pressure. So these are the reflections I can say. I think this slide I have all my sayings. So what if we say that excellent leadership is about understanding, transforming, and serving others? So this is a new model. Another model is servant leadership is we are bringing, but also transformational leadership is has got some insight from this perspective as well. From controlling people to understanding them. This is really important. So this slide is coming with that mentality, understanding people. From commanding behavior to transforming mindsets. So you are inspiring the people mindset. So managing performance to serving potentials. So you are tapping up the potentials to contribute organization. So these shifts reflect a broader move away from transactional or coercive leadership towards the relational, value-driven, people-focused approaches. Yeah, that's all. So this is kind of transformational leadership and servant leadership. However, I must say other leadership models has got these kind of essences, but these are the main two things. So next slide is going to be about transformational leadership, and it is coming from Burns, and it is going to be next slide, I think. McGregor Burns, James McGregor Burns. This is really influential book, and it is about inspiring employees. Transformation leaders inspire followers. Okay, and they inspire people, that people can start to believe they can achieve this task. Okay, so I think I shouldn't say gaslight, but it is kind of like you are creating some inspiration in their mind, people's mind. Okay, so it is leadership styles that aims to transform people beliefs, values, and motivations. Not only organization. First, start to change people's beliefs and values and motivation. As you can see, values I'm saying, beliefs I'm saying, these are part of the organizational culture. You are start to change the organizational culture as well, not just their behavior, individual behavior, also the team organizational culture. So they create compelling vision, act as a moral role models, and transformative leaders are stimulate new ways of thinking, in a sense, show concern for individual development as well. And this is totally opposite of transactional or coercive leadership models. They are more mutual exchange, rewards for performance, punishment for failure. So yeah, coming from that point. There are two types of leadership depending on way you influence followers. Is servant leadership and transformational leadership. Okay. But however, I must repeat again, you can find other types of leaderships models as well, with different name, but similar essence you can find. So leading through mutual beneficial exchange of resources, work equals to pay, fewer taxes on me, more voice for you, etc. Burns calls this transactional leadership model. Okay, so this is the part of transactional leadership model. A transformational leadership model is just shown as in a green. Is engaging with other values, create connection that increase motivation and morality in both the leaders and follower. This is their approach. Focuses on ethic and emotions, morals, And yeah, this is really interesting point is ethic and moral is synonym things, but it is repeated here because one of them coming from Greek Gothis, and other one is coming from Christian background. Yeah, anyway, focus on ethics and emotions, okay? Assess the followers' needs and try to satisfy. So in that sense, emotional intelligence needs, isn't it here? Leaders needs to have emotional intelligence to make this second one. Influence individual people, but also entire groups or culture. Okay, this is emotional intelligence again. Be prepared to become change yourself. But what is seen on the surface is followers or employees understand that their leaders are valuing themselves, and yeah, they feel better. Okay, they are going to start to value it. Okay, what is that? Other things in the theory it says transformational leaders are controlling, inspiring, intellectually stimulating. Yeah, they are doing all this. Okay. Or alternatively, the process of collectively engaging the participants of all major stakeholder groups. This is the textbook, and we've seen this in the case studies. Paul Polman, as I earlier said, he did that one. He included all major stakeholder groups. He made them believe to be for action. So transformational leadership model is kind of three slots. This is like spectrum. On the left, transformational leadership using charisma, transactional leader using a mutual exchange, laissez-faire, they don't do anything. They feel, they think employees are helpful and they are going to do whatever needed in the future, if it is necessary. So this slide is leadership styles, three scales. This is intellectual stimulation, idealized influence, individualized consideration, understand the people needs, giving them really good stimulation in their mind, and idealize being a role model using charisma. But as you can see, there is something charisma is really, again, phenomena. It is not explained clearly yet. Still, we don't know about that one. Laissez-faire, doing nothing, avoid from role. I think I don't need to mention that one more. But here is transformational leadership is given. Okay, four things here: idealization, inspirational, intellectual stimulation, individualized consideration. All of this combination create a moderative or synergic effect, and creating performance beyond the expectation. This is the example, and it's empirically proven that one. I think this slide is a kind of collaborative way, and stakeholders, how leaders are looking beyond what we see. Hoop Ewerks is the animator and co-creator of Mickey Mouse, who worked closely with Walt Disney, while Walt was the public face, charismatic visionary. Ewerks did much of the technical and creative work behind the scenes. So as you can see, leaders may not be seen on floor, but they can do a lot of job in the behind. And yeah, maybe collaborate, maybe they are experts, maybe they are main contributor. So when analyzing leaders, leadership look beyond and most visible. So it is important to critically check their perspective, what they do as well. Okay. Okay. Maybe leadership is about serving. So as I earlier said, servant leadership. Now we turn to a very different style, servant leadership introduced by Robert Greenleaf in 1970s. This model flips the traditional hierarchy. Instead, leaders being at the top, servant leaders put the needs of the followers or employees first and support their um, growth and development. So, like the servant leaders are serving and begins with the natural feelings that one wants to serve and to serve first. This is Greenleaf speech, okay? The servant leaders are servant first. It begins with the natural feeling that one wants to serve first, he says. And from power, this shift is this is servant leadership model is really important because it's including empowerment. So you are empowering the individuals, you are carrying them, and you are developing them as well. This is really close with female leadership model, but which is not given here. Okay, female leadership model is another aspect, another model, but it's not included here. Why this is matter? Because today's purpose-driven, diverse, and collaborative workplaces, servant leadership is becoming increasingly relevant because they are facilitators to employees. Because all time they used to know better than anyone in the organization, but now their knowledge is less than many employees in the organization. This is like everything going upside down. Managerial positions are not, or leadership position always means they have expertise power. Okay, therefore it is coming. And the main characteristics they have is characteristics are in servant leadership model. Okay, yeah. Oh, 10 different characteristics is given. You don't need to memorize them, but quickly you can read listening, empathy, healing, awareness. As you can see, some of them already mentioned in the transformational leadership model. Persuasion, conceptualization, foresight. So this is the same for foresight is the ability to predict what is come based on occurring in the present and what happening in the past. This is the same from transformational leadership model. Okay. Next one is stewardship. This is not transformational leadership model. Carefully managing the people and organization one has given to lead, holding the organization in trust for the greater good society. Commitment to growth of people. This is kind of treating each follower as unique person. This is individual servant. And building community. This is servant leaderships are allowing followers to identify with something greater than themselves. However, it is really difficult to identify one leader as one specific. So you can specific leadership model. One specific or two feature you can see in one person. You can say he's representing servant leadership model, but on the other hand, he can use another model to show it by showing that like transformational transactional leadership model. So this is the point. Okay, really difficult to estimate one person, but in overall servant leadership theory, theoretically, it is yes. Okay, this 10 characteristic exists. So this is model, and outcome is important. follower performance and growth, organizational performance, creating social impact. Yeah, these are the servant leadership leaders can create. So as you can see, different leadership models create different outcomes. Yeah, according to the theory. So this is the one of the recommendation. Use the servant leadership successfully. Key idea is servant leadership is not soft. It is kind of strategic. There's some kind of strategic mentality behind. It is improving the performance and meeting the psychological responding deep psychological needs of employee. For example, in healthcare industry, servant leadership is mainly, if you check this NHS related papers and NHS leadership related, servant leadership is, you can see, and it means they are lowering the burnout, better patient outcomes they can get. Therefore, they are using that one. Why? If you say why, because when the healthcare staff is feeling supported, they care more for others. So this is what's happening, okay? And I think that's it. And by now, you should have chosen your organization and 2 challenges started, writing your assignment. And you can even already write maybe the section on the challenges, or one of them could be related with the leadership, employee voice, or culture. So next week is our final lecture, and our final week is going in-person seminar again. And yeah, then all of the rest of them is going to be online. Okay, thank you very much for joining, listening patiently this link. Thank you. Bye-bye.